Hey class, today we're going to look at how to set up an MLA style paper. This might be useful to you if you're doing a paper in high school like we're currently doing, or you might be working on a paper in college. There's a few other styles, but MLAs we'll use in English, so I'll show you how to do that. First things first, you should have set up a new paper, a new document in Google Docs, and all you do is click New. If you're in Drive, you click New there, and you click the doc icon. You'll see up here we have an untitled document. What we're going to do is we're going to change that to our name, most likely. That way the professor or teacher knows who we are. So I'm going to put my name. So there we go, Michael Roberti. I might even put the title. Let's say I'm doing a paper on ban on cigarettes. I like that one. There we go. That way, when the teacher sees me, they know that this is my paper. So there's a few things we need to do when we're setting this up. The first thing MLA Style requires is that we have the page set up. So we look at the page setup. All right, here we have everything that you're going to need to know when you first set it up. You can change the paper size, the landscape orientation. We don't want any of that though. The main thing we want to make sure of is that all of these margins say 1 inch. On Google Docs, this is the default setting, which is great. If we were using Word though, sometimes it'll be 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, and those are not what we want. So we're good there. Next thing we want to do is we want to set up the header. One of the biggest issues and biggest errors I see when students set up the paper is that they either don't put a header in there or they put the wrong thing there. So first you click Insert. Then we're going to look at page number and click top of page to the right. There's a few options. We don't want to skip a number because that'll mean our first page would be our title page and we're not doing a title page. If you are doing one of those projects that require that, that's fine. Similarly, some things might require you to have bottom numbers, but for this we want top. So we click that. Now we have a number. If we are on page 2, it's going to say page 2. If we are on page 3, it's going to say page 3. One of the big problems I see is people will just type a 1 in there, and that would just put a 1 on every page. It'd be on page 5 and it'd have a 1 on it. We don't want that. The next thing is we're going to put our last name in the header. Now, I do this, and a lot of times students will put my name in there, but really what I want to see is your name, because when I'm reading 60, 70 papers and I'm falling asleep and I don't know whose paper I'm grading, I can look up in that top corner and say, oh, hey, it's so-and-so's. The header has a unique font. We want it to be the same font as the rest of the paper, so we're going to set that to Times New Roman, and we're going to set that to 12. All right. Now we're going to look at the rest of the paper. We want to set that also to Times New Roman. We want to set it to 12. And there we go. We're ready to start looking at our spacing. So the first thing for spacing that you're going to want to do is you're going to click this little section right here. Probably if you haven't been messing around in your Google Docs, double will be fine. Sometimes if you've used this for other things, we might want to do custom spacing to make sure that there's no spacing before or after paragraphs. For some reason, Microsoft Word and their infinite wisdom put spacing before or after a paragraph as a default setting. Thankfully, Google Docs doesn't do that, so for MLA, it's a lot more simple. If you have messed with it, just bring it back and click Apply. So we've got double spacing, and now we're ready to put the name section. So my name is Michael Roberti, and let's say I'm doing this for my teacher, Mr. Know-It-All. Mr. Know-It-All. So we put our name first, then we put the teacher's name, the class name. In this case, a lot of times when I teach is English 3, we'll say I'm going through English 3 right now. English 3, and I'll be an honor student. Why not? And the date. Date, you put the day that you start working on it. If it's the day before it's due, the teacher's got to notice. I'd either put the date that it was assigned or the date it's actually due, because the teacher will know that's not when you were working on it. Let's just put today's date. Okay. So we've got all that done. Next thing is the title. I always say this in my lessons for setting up a paper. It drives me crazy that people don't pay attention to this, but the only thing you need to do to make your title special is center it. So we click this button right here to center it, and we're going to come up with a title. It can be anything. Very few teachers really have all that many regulations on what you can and can't title a paper. Try to be a little clever, set it apart. I could just put ban on cigarettes, but I think we could do better. A dark cloud stopping smoking. That's a good title. All right. So that's the basics on how to set up an MLA style paper. There's a few other things you might want to know. For instance, when you put a indent for a paragraph, you're going to want to put the tab key. You're not going to want to press space or anything like that. Another video, I'll tell you how to do citations. Hopefully you know that you need to write this in a structured format where we have an introductory statement. We end the first paragraph with our thesis statement and then go into our body paragraphs and conclusion. But that's about it. Works Cited is going to have its own video. It's not really that difficult, except we have to worry about the spacing for hanging indent. And in Google Docs, there's no really easy way to do that, which is probably its one problem compared to Word. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you guys have any questions, comment, or email me, and I'll be happy to help you all out. Thank you.